And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. That's Danny Cannell. I'm Chip Patterson, coming to you live at youtube.com/Cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe. Smash that like and comment. Join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 tailgate. Lots to get to. Can't even waste time with I'm not doing conference expansion. We got too much to do, right?
Let's hit it Monday to see who else gets invited.
Congratulations to everybody that got an invitation. Everybody that got an invitation late night. How fitting is it that the Pac-12 expands after dark? That it's just like it is literally at like midnight where they're going to be able to go out there. We'll get into all that because frankly, we got locks for some of those teams involved. So let's begin, as we always do, with a review of the week that was. Week 2. Whew, got some blood on the table. All right, Bud. Winning week, though. 4-3 in week 2. Your wins were Nebraska -7 and cashed that Colorado-Nebraska first half under 28.5. Middle Tennessee first half under 5.5. That's a winner. Illinois +5.5. They got it done for you on the field. 1, 2, 3. And then the losses, the at Clemson under 53.5. The Mississippi State, Arizona State over 59.5. Virginia Tech first half -10.5. Thoughts on the week, Bud?
Clemson under, obviously a terrible call. I thought App's defense was improved, but maybe just not against a Power 5 opponent there. And Clemson wanted the style points and went and got them. So bad call by me there. I don't really focus on the wins unless I thought they were lucky. All four I thought were pretty decent. Virginia Tech, just not a good football team. I don't think that they are really well coached on either side of the ball. Pretty convinced that Marshall's a bad team, and the Hokies, if they were right, should have smacked them and didn't. So I have given the Hokies yet another haircut, and I think I moved them outside my top 40 teams, my power ratings. They're not good.
Woo, strong words.
That's a problem when you bring everybody back. Like, you should be a lot better than this. They look poorly coached to me.
Maybe listen, they were 1-3 to start the year last year. They need to create the adversity. I mean, that's the sign of a real winner. Like your MJs, your Kobe's. That's what we've got here from Brent Pry. All right, Chip. It was a 5-5 week, pushing money around on the table. Tip the dealer, get out. Iowa team total over is a win. Texas -7 is a win. Boise State +20 is a win. Nebraska first half -4 is a win. And Tennessee -7.5 is a win. Took a loss on that Iowa -3. Also on the Kansas State -9. App State +17 was a laugher. Utah -14.5. Bad beat. And then Oklahoma first half -17. The Sooners, concerning. The only one that I'm going to kick and scream about is Utah. I think if Cam Rising plays that whole game, that they covered that one with ease. So yeah, It happens, right? You are playing with fire anytime you are throwing your money behind Cam Rising in Utah. 5-5 for the week gets me to 10-11. Bud 9-9 overall. Danny got way up and handed some of it back. 3-6 week for Mr. Cannell. The wins were the under 43 in Kentucky, South Carolina, USF +30.5. And then, which I guess was a little bit of a sweat late, not too much. Iowa State over 34.5. Yes, sir. Then the losses, the Duke Northwestern under 37. That one was painful. Texas, Michigan first half under 21.5. The App Clemson under 53.5. Oregon -19. Pitt, Cincinnati over 62.5. And the Arkansas, Oklahoma State under 63. Couple bad beats for you, DK. 10-12 overall. How are we feeling?
Yeah, the Duke Northwestern overtime. What was it? 16-16 at the end of regulation. Thought I was sitting on a winner. It goes over in OT. Texas, Michigan. I felt okay about that one. There was a turnover or something right before half that allowed Texas to score to push that one over. Oregon was just wrong. I keep 0-2, I think, in the first 2 weeks trying to back Oregon. Pitt didn't show up until the fourth quarter for their offense. Otherwise, I would have felt pretty good about that one with Cincinnati. And then I did not see what happened with Arkansas with Taylor Green coming out with that type of performance early. So, yeah, couple losers, but it's a big bounce back week.
All right, Tom, 3 and 7 week. The wins were the South Carolina, Kentucky under 43, Tennessee -7.5, and the Pitt Cincinnati under 62.5. The losses on the Duke Northwestern total, the Michigan +7.5, Iowa -3, because the Kansas State Tulane under 47.5, Nevada +1.5. Let's see, hold on, Washington State. Who'd Washington State play? Which Tech?
Texas Tech.
That's right, Texas Tech. Washington State, Texas Tech over 65.5, and Temple Navy under 43. 3 and 7 for the week, 7 and 14 for the year. Tom, postmortem.
The Duke Northwestern overtime sucked. Iowa blowing it sucked. Other than that, the only one I feel truly bad about that I completely whiffed on was the Michigan one, because earlier in the week in big time, when I do my just gut reactions to the lines when they come out, I picked Texas to cover, and then I overthought it and I went with Michigan on the locks pod. So that was a stupid one by me. I deserved to lose that by a lot, but I'm not really worried about my record right now. I'm 7 and 14. At this time last year, I was 4 and 14, and I finished 75 and 66. So nothing to worry about.
You also got bad beated, in my opinion, on Tech Wazoo.
Yeah,
Like that was a bunch of crazy, like, non-scoring in the red zone. If they play that game again, the total's higher than this. Like it would close higher, in my opinion.
yeah. And then if you look at like success rate and stuff, Nevada was the better team in its game too, but it just didn't score the points. So it happens.
Hey,
No,
learning.
Tom, I think a 20-game sample set is completely determinative of your ability to pick games. And yeah,
hey, Bud, we don't hang our we don't hang our self-confidence on this. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
We strive to be the best that we can be. And that's why we're flushing week 2. Get it out of here. Okay. And so with week 2 behind us, with our eyes ahead to week 3, I ask you, gentlemen, are y'all ready to lock it up?
We'll find out. Since 2005, the under in games between service academies is 40-9-1.
We're picking locks.
Give me an over in this one as well. A little 2-for-1 special.
Don't get these locks.
I was a sicko last week. Y'all were watching the good games. I was live betting the hell out of ULM Kentucky.
My blue plate special 5-star locks are coming.
5-star master lock. Lock it
You
up.
want these locks.
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
We begin as we always do with some of that weeknight action so you early birds can go and get it. And that includes here on a Thursday night, a very interesting matchup between Arizona State and Texas State. A couple 2-0 teams going head to head. Texas State, maybe the best team in the Sun Belt, and Arizona State arguably has exceeded expectations here through the first 2 weeks of the season. As we're looking at it, I mean, there's an interesting way that you could play this. You know, you've got lots of different numbers. You know, if you want to guarantee that you don't lose, you can do that. You know, but you know, as always, these are locks. We want to give out one singular pick. Does anybody have a lock with the Sun Devils and the Bobcats? If we don't have a lock, let's get a thought at least. It's interesting.
My Twitter tip is Arizona State -1.
Okay.
Just, I think the Sun Devils are like the game against Wyoming. I kind of threw out because Wyoming is pretty awful, but I thought they looked pretty good again last week against Mississippi State. I get that Texas State is kind of the G5 darling, but what was their first game against? Like Tarleton State or somebody? Yeah. I'm not putting. I think Arizona State might have more dudes than Texas State does.
I think Texas State is better on the lines of scrimmage than Mississippi State.
You mean than Arizona State?
No, I mean,
he means
comparing the opponent, previous opponent. I got you.
correct. Yeah. But I think Mississippi State probably had better skill guys than Texas State does. And that's a bit counterintuitive of a thought, right? Like you would think, okay, maybe the G5's got some special skill guys, but on the lines of scrimmage are not as good. I think it's the opposite. I think Texas State has better lines of scrimmage than Mississippi State does, but State's got more explosive guys. I played a little alt stuff in this just because I feel like there's like the possibility of a blowout potentially on either side, depending on how it game scripts. So grabbed a little bit of Arizona State alt, but like nothing big, nothing for a lock show.
Right now at FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can make every moment more, Arizona State is available at +1.5. Again,
Yeah, but it's like what, minus 120 something?
Minus 118. Yeah. So you got lots of different ways to play it. Cam, I saw you, Jackson, in the tailgate. Cam Scatterbo, as always, must see TV. So no locks, lots of different ways to play it. A lot to learn from that matchup. Then on Friday night, we'll be going to Children's Mercy Park, home of Sporting KC, to see UNLV take on those Kansas Jayhawks. Jayhawks back home, reeling after a loss to the Fighting Illini. They are 9.5-point favorites against UNLV. This thing moving in the Jayhawks' direction here on a Thursday. Over under around 57.5. Who's got a lock?
Anybody?
I'll take it.
Let's go.
Give me UNLV. Barry Odom squad. We talked a little bit about Jalen Daniels in this new offense, struggled against Illinois. They come back after a rough one. We've also talked this year about the home field advantage or lack thereof for the Jayhawks. Tell you what, Barry Odom squad, like, they're pretty feisty. I think a lot of people thought losing your quarterback last year, would potentially, hurt this team. They haven't dropped off much offensively. I still think they come in with a little bit of an attitude. That's way too many points for me. I'll take those 9.5.
I only get you 9, unless you see a 9.5 out there. But
Well, I'm looking at FanDuel right here. It says 9.5.
Yeah.
Oh, it's minus 115. Is
Let's
that
go.
oh no, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and somebody just bet this over. Not sure who, but I disagree with the size of that move. So I'm going to go ahead and take the under 60 here.
Okay.
I would expect a little bit of an elevated rush rate, I think, from Kansas this week, particularly after they probably should have stuck with the run a little bit more than they did against Illinois. I don't know if they're going to let Daniels put the ball in harm's way quite as much. And honestly, I was fairly impressed with Kansas's defensive personnel in that game, or more impressed than I thought I would. Like I bet Illinois, we cashed Illinois, but Kansas, for the most part, made them earn it, right? And like Kansas has some decent cover corners. So I'm going to go ahead and play that under 60.
Yeah. Might be. Is it maybe you're getting ticked up because of UNLV offense tempo wise?
Possibly. And they have paid lip service to wanting to go faster
Right.
this year.
I
Twice.
mean, that's the Brendan Marion book, right?
But they have not actually done so.
Yeah.
So I'll pay to see them go faster, I guess.
All right. Also on Friday, we talked about it in Big Game Breakdown. It's one of the games of the week. Arizona heading to Manhattan to play Kansas State. We're looking at about 7.5, 59.5 or so. Anyone going to throw a lockdown on this one?
I am.
Me too. You go first.
Arizona plus 7.5.
All right.
Just not all that super impressed with what I've seen from the Kansas State defense to this point. I still think offensively they'll be able to move the ball against this Wildcats team. I don't hate the over. I'm just not playing it, but I do think this could be something of a back and forth affair. Like if Tulane was able to move the ball as effectively on Kansas State, I think Arizona, which struggled last week against Northern Arizona, but was sitting some guys out closer to full strength this week, I think they'll be able to put up some points on the board. So give me the Wildcats plus 7.5.
Tom does not hate the over, and I love it. Are there any 58s left, or 59s, or 58.5? Like, this thing again.
Yeah,
Like,
there's 59s out there.
There's a 59. Yep.
okay, I'll take best number I can get there. I mean, this thing, what is it, like 56.5, and just started like motoring all the way up. I think I might have hinted at it a little bit in Big Game Breakdown. Chris Kleiman said that they made good halftime adjustments to be able to react to what Tulane was doing. That's fine. I'm just not convinced yet that Kansas State's pass defense is at a level where they're going to be able to take on that challenge presented by Noah Fafita and Teteroa McMillan. Obviously, if the offensive line is, going to be all banged up and not available, then that's going to make it harder to go in offense out there. But I'm sort of counting on our availability from Northern Arizona, in part being because it was Northern Arizona, trying to get everybody right for one of the biggest games of the year, which was coming on a short turnaround. I've liked it all week. I've given it out on multiple platforms all week. So even here at the late number, I'll still take it over 59.
The chat saying games are so bad this weekend. I don't really agree. I mean,
At
like
all.
if you're part of our
From a
audience,
brand perspective, that's it.
Yeah,
If you
like-
want
like
big
if-
brands, and then you're bummed. But there's going to be some really fun games, competitive games.
like maybe some of these other shows that didn't do, a Mountain West preview or won't talk some G5 or won't talk the bottom half of some of these, more kind of like Tiffany leagues. But guys, we're down in the muck. Our chat section, like, there's no excuse. You guys got to love this stuff. Like we do.
Like, I don't have a lock on Cincinnati, Miami, but I am fired up for Cincinnati, Miami.
That's a hell of a rivalry.
The factor for Scott Satterfield, the chance for the Red Hawks to be able to go out there and get a win. I mean, I only have 23 games in the Wolf Zone. I've got 29 games that I'm excited to try to at least, not watch all 29, but at least be able to track the results with some interest of significance.
Now, this is a good apple picking weekend, I will say. Like, there's not a single game where it's like, I have to just be glued to the couch. Like, I'm going to be glued to the couch, but if you have to run some errands, if you have to do some family photos, if you got to go do something like that. Now in Florida, we don't have apples, so whatever. But and it's also hot as hell still.
Yeah. I don't know if we're the true like farm season yet. Quite. We still got to wait for everything to get fully grown.
I bet parts of the Midwest though. Like think about it. Tom, when is it too cold to go apple picking? Like you guys,
in the Midwest, it's never too cold for anything. We're sturdy, hardy people. We don't fear the cold.
Come on now. All right. Coming up on the other side, we will turn our attention to, bless you, some of the biggest games of Saturday. A day that, hey, listen, those days where you're like, there's no good games. Hey, there always ends up being something that you weren't paying attention to that ends up being the biggest headline by Saturday night. So you got to keep your eyes peeled. So we'll break down some of the biggest games from Saturday and more next. Back here on the Cover 3 podcast, running through some of those big headline, big stage games from Saturday. And Zachary in the tailgate says, look, if Wisconsin does beat Alabama, it is not a boring Saturday. Like this. So I ask you now, as we're looking at the Badgers hosting the Crimson Tide in Camp Randall, noon kickoff. 16.5 is what we're looking at right now, somewhere around 49.5 or so on the total. Who's got a lock? Go for it.
Taking a first half play here. Alabama -7.5 in the first half. I mentioned that earlier in the week when we were doing the big game breakdown, Wisconsin will be without its starting linebacker, Jake Chaney. I also just think that I liked it a lot better. The line has moved. What did it open at? It's up to like 16 and 16.5 now for the full game, which I don't like nearly as much as when it was still at 15.5. But I just think I do worry that in the second half Alabama might kind of slow down and take it off, because again, I'm just trusting my eyes here. Wisconsin's not a good football team. Offensively, they just do not strike any fear in me. I don't know that they have the offensive line to deal with Alabama up front. I don't know that they have a running back that's worth being scared of. I don't know that they have a wide receiver who can get open. So I just think that this is a case where it's going to look a lot like Texas-Michigan did last week. Wisconsin might slow Alabama down somewhat on offense, but they're just not going to do anything of their own on offense. So Alabama first half -7.5.
The difference in just physicality and speed when you watched Western play Wisconsin, and then the very next week you watched Western play Ohio State, that was pretty jarring. I thought about playing Bama. I'm not going to. I would rather wait, watch warm-ups, see if Pritchett and Proctor are going to play, and then lay a bad number if I had to.
Like, would you lay it up to 21? Like if
no, but like if it, I'd rather lay 17 with those guys in, and if they're not in, I don't want anything to do with this.
Interesting.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
Form B was legitimately a problem last week, to the point where Bama had to put a hurt kid back in the game. Like they were in danger of losing the game if things didn't break right. So, I know there's some positive reports there. I just want to see it, go through warm-ups, make sure they play. We'll see.
Danny, you got to play? You got to smirk. Do you have a play?
I just listening to you guys, like Tom's a little afraid to take the whole game. Bud wants to see the injury stuff. I mean, just on principle alone, I want to take Wisconsin, but my goodness, is it hard to do?
It is.
I mean, I don't think it's that hard if you've watched Bama's secondary. There's
Well,
guys
that's what I'm
running
saying,
wide
yeah.
open every week. Like I'm sure Danny's watched it. Like he gets the all 22. Like Bama's not
But
covering
Van
guys.
Dyke, is he the guy that's going to make them pay? Because they played two bad quarterbacks. I don't know if Tyler Van Dyke's the one, but you know what? Life ain't easy. Give me the Badgers. Give me
Full
all
game?
those points.
All
yeah,
right.
full game. 16.5.
Jump around.
I'll take it. The one thing, okay, here's where it scares me if I get burned on this one. I do think Bama has lacked discipline, which is kind of unique for them. Like there's some of these busted coverages on the back end, a lot of penalties. They're up, just sloppy on offense. And I think some of that maybe because Kalen DeBoer is more relaxed. Maybe he's been a little bit more player friendly. But I do think this is the game where they dial in. Like all of a sudden they start to, just get things ratcheted up a notch, intensity level, focus level during practice. That kind of scares me. But I'm just going on principle alone. Home dog, Big Ten. Somebody in there told me to sell my Luke Fickell stock. I ain't selling it yet.
I mean, this was, what was this over summer? 8.5?
Yeah.
Like, okay, who has looked worse compared to expectation? Wisconsin or Alabama?
Probably Bama.
I mean, it kind of depends, right? Like Wisconsin
Yeah.
certainly has not looked good, but Bama has, I don't know, man. Like Bama has not looked good. They've had some explosive plays, which have kind of covered up some stuff, but
I don't know. Listen.
This is 8.5 points different than we thought 3 weeks ago.
I mean, what? Oh, mute button.
Tom got the mute button. Yes.
Damn it. I've been coughing and I muted it. I forgot. Sorry. I don't think Alabama looks as good as I thought, but I still think Alabama is competing in the SEC. Wisconsin, I thought, was going to be a pretty solid bowl team. I'm legit concerned that Wisconsin can get to a bowl. So for me, I think Wisconsin's been the worst of what I expected.
I mean, I bet the Wisconsin alternate unders, right? Like the under 6.5 stuff. I thought there was good value there. They could definitely miss a bowl, but Bama just has so many new pieces, dude.
But they're good pieces. Anyway, so
they're not playing good right now. Like the secondary, especially, it's a new defensive system. You got a true freshman and 2 redshirt back there, and they are not like they're turning guys loose. They just have not been made to pay for it yet.
So there's if you like Bama, the dream is that TVD leads a script. Like Wisconsin gets the ball first, TVD leads a scripted drive. They score a touchdown. Wisconsin's up 7-0, and then you can hammer on something live. Like that's you might be able to get something even more advantageous in that situation. Potentially.
I do think this is a big Milrose legs game.
Yeah,
Totally.
well, that's what you said. And by the way, one last thing, Danny, that is like Birmingham radio catnip right there. Like if you were coming on, was it WJOX in that in Birmingham?
Yeah, Jocks.
If you were on Jocks and you were like, listen, and I'll tell you, under Coach Saban, that we didn't see those kind of penalties. Kalen DeBoer, Mr. Player Friendly. Maybe he needs to be less friendly to the players. Tell me your calls. Open up the phone lines. Let me hear what you got.
Light them up.
To be fair, Bama has declined in discipline, even with Saban towards the back end of his era. I think it's harder to keep guys focused now than ever before, just so we're clear.
Yes, 100%. All right. Then as we pivot on into also let's stay there in the noon slate because Columbia, South Carolina, the Gamecocks get their chance for what I believe Bud identified as what could be the most impressive win of the Hendon Hooker thing. I know got qualified a lot.
Yeah, no, we try to say accurate things on the show. Hooker did not get hurt until the fourth quarter of that game.
Right.
So that was not the reason South Carolina won. South Carolina fans, I heard you on that. I agree. I think you would probably agree with me. This would be the biggest win of Beamer's career.
I think it would be one of the most important wins given the opponent, the setting, where it is in the schedule, and how important this season was for Shane Beamer heading into the year. So, yeah, massive importance. And look, I mean, the odds makers are saying it's there for you. 6.5 is the spread right now, over under a 48.5. Who's got a lock?
I'm going to lay the 6.5.
With LSU?
Yeah. I think LSU can probably block South Carolina much more effective than Kentucky did. To me, LSU's biggest weakness is the secondary, although losing Guillory does matter. I bet some under here early in the week at higher numbers than it is now. I don't think I would continue to bet under. Does South Carolina's passing game have the ability to really challenge the LSU defense and make them pay for what I assume will be loading up against the run a lot? I think LSU gets the dub here. Could be wrong. There's not like a bunch of huge edges on Thursday, but I'll lay the 6.5.
And it'll last 30 minutes. Let's go South Carolina in the first half plus 4.5. We're looking at what, like a rainy, kind of sloppy. You got to just get out there and play ball. I don't know if Garrett Nussmeier is going to be able to spin it quite like he could in the friendly confines of, an indoor stadium, better weather. It just seems like a game that is going to be a little mucky, with some of that. Maybe even we've got some weather delays, and what's more frustrating for a visiting team than dealing with some weather delays. So I'm going South Carolina in the first half plus 4.5. Let's go Gamecocks to be able to get off to a strong enough start, keep LSU's offense at bay for 30 minutes, and at least give some energy around that stadium.
60% chance rain.
Sharp's wrong 40% of the time.
And that's a Steph Curry 3-pointer.
LSU doesn't have a run game. It don't
But
matter. Give me,
you
I'm,
still
let the
wanted it-
children sing. Me and Bud.
Oh, do you still want it at 7? Because
No, I wanted 6.5. Quickly.
6.5s are kind of juicy.
How juicy? I thought it was what FanDuel had.
Minus 124. I see at FanDuel. I don't see what I'm at work.
Oh, is it
All I have is
24?
FanDuel. It's the only
Yeah.
approved site. I can't get my spank
Fa-
on.
Juicing.
FanDuel's pretty. That's pretty juiced. Yeah, we shouldn't give out. I didn't realize it was that. Sorry.
So we'll go with 7. Still on it?
Yeah. Let's lay 7s.
All right.
Lay it.
So there we go. Let it sing.
Sorry.
So LSU -7, LSU -7, and a South Carolina plus 4.5 in the first half.
That's kind of a fight in a way. It's like a slap fight.
Yeah, it is.
I think that I am.
It's like an
There-
NBA fight.
It's Carmelo Anthony just backing up over and over again. Yeah. All right. Tom, any thoughts?
I'm definitely leaning to the side of Bud and Daniel here.
LSU comes in there, handles
Mhm.
business. Okay. Then, as we move on to the 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time slate, it is on CBS, America's Most Watched Network, the network of stars. Notre Dame looks for a bounce back against the big old drum and the Purdue Boilermakers. So, do they get it? Who's got a lock? What's my number? Do we have 10s left?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, let's go. Boilermakers plus
we got
10.
plenty of 10s.
I don't trust Notre Dame. By the way, a point of clarification. We were on
10.5.
10.5. Cool. Great. Let's do it. So I was on CBS Sports Network yesterday, and talking about this game, mentioned I was taking Purdue. Said I'm not sure about Riley Leonard's health. Jenny Dell said on CBS Sports Network after I was connected, Chip's an idiot. I talked to Riley Leonard himself. He said on a scale of 1 to 10, it's below a 1. So would have appreciated that news yesterday, Jenny. No. Jenny is the absolute best. But she did drop that. And if Riley Leonard says it's below a 1, then maybe these, reports that we got from, multiple places throughout the week, maybe Riley Leonard's health is not an issue. So more confident in Purdue. Let's go.
Was he like, oh, it's less than a 1? It's
But
nothing.
then-
No problem.
See, Jenny should have done that Bill Parcells trick where she punches him, says well, and then he goes down in a heap of pain. I thought you said it was a 1. That's what Parcells used to do. The guy was trying to say he wasn't hurt. He'd test it out. I got a lock. I like the way you're thinking. I don't know if you can trust Notre Dame any way that goes there. I'm actually nervous about this. If Riley Leonard didn't play, give me the under. The defense still has been pretty good. They were on the field a lot. They did a pretty good job at A&M. They did a pretty good job at Northern Illinois. I think they'll do a good job against Purdue. I think Notre Dame, I mean, some of their best plays, we've talked about this, was Riley Leonard running. If he's at a 1, I think you continue to do that. I just don't see him all of a sudden fixing things and getting a ton of yards and a ton of big explosive plays. They did miss one that was a pretty big chunk play that it was a drop. But I think this Notre Dame offense is kind of like, let's get out of Dodge through this game. Let's get a little bit more conservative. Let's get, but I think this is more about the defense for me that I think holds Purdue in check.
I like that too. Yeah.
Are you going to take it? Or you just,
yeah, I'm locking it up under.
Yeah. But are you on it too?
He has more discipline than I do.
No. Yeah, let the chopper spray.
Yeah, I will actually. 45 and a half under.
Let's go.
That's fine.
No boys ride.
My thought here is the Notre Dame D-line has not played quite as well as I thought it would. They got pushed around a little bit by Northern Illinois. Maybe Purdue sticks run game a little more than they normally would script-wise. Now, this could clearly blow up in my face if the Irish bomb it all over Purdue because Purdue's playing a super aggressive coverage. But I think the Irish can cover Purdue receiver-wise. Really no problem. I mean, not having Burks is a pretty meaningful loss. And I like Adrien, and I like the new is it Max Clare, the new tight end they've been throwing to a lot. Like, he's looked good. But I do think the Irish DBs are a different level than what they're going to see for most of the year.
Well, I mean, we also have total question marks about Purdue in general.
Yeah.
They smashed Indiana State and they did not play last week. We have way more information on Notre Dame. And I would say that, like, that's definitely the principle of mine is like, come on. It is distrusting probably, but powering my lock as much as it is, empowering the idea that Purdue has proven a lot, though sometimes that mystery can help you out. Y'all see Thomas Hammock been on the phone with Marcus Freeman all week telling him what's wrong with his team?
Mm-hmm.
Where hasn't he been? He's been all over the place, and good for him. Like, getting the program out there. This is the week of Northern Illinois to get that marketing, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, he jumped on Twitter
multiple times. He said, like,
you don't really want that out there for Marcus Freeman, right?
No.
Because it reinforces the whole, like, you're still learning on the job deal.
Yes. It's like there's a take of this. There's a take on that. That's like, man, that's awesome. Coaches helping each other out. Like, because we know it happens. Like, we know that coaches share information on, opponents, what you saw, like this, that, or the other.
They don't.
But I mean, what Keyshawn said, every coach in America was turning over to Colorado stuff to Oregon, right? That's what Keyshawn Johnson said in 2023.
They needed to, I guess.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Did you see the Twitter thread last night?
Yeah.
Oh
What?
my gosh. It's on Tom and I's Twitter. I'm actually willing to buy that Colorado brought in better offensive linemen than they did last year. But man, do I think they downgraded the offensive line coach. And I get it. Like, who would actually want to come coach for Daddy Ball? Have an O-line is still not very good. Have the quarterback get beat up. Have all the blame, and then a very likely chance that it's a one-year deal. Like, that's a hard job to hire for there. But I mean, dude, they are making mental busts.
High school hairy shit.
On like a third of the protections, maybe more. Like, it's not all just physically getting whipped. I mean, we're talking about like 4 guys slide protecting the other guy. I think they're running screen. It's really wild to see. So
That's the left tackle clip, right?
That's one of them.
And then like
I mean, you got guys going to different gaps, protection sliding left, but 2 guys are going right. It's terrible.
Well, I mean, what better transition to ask?
Do you believe?
So, the back end of a doubleheader on CBS, America's Most Watched Network, the Network of Stars, is Colorado heading to Colorado State. We got, still 7s? Is that where we're at right now?
What's the rotation number?
I'm on FanDuel where
every
moment more. 7.5 at FanDuel, but it's plus 100, so there might be some 7s out there. Over unders around 58.5.
How am I not finding?
Well, I can't even find it. Hold on. The rotation number is 191, 192.
Yeah, there's plenty of 7s out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody want to take it? Anybody want to fade it?
Did you guys see Horton and Braden Fowler Nicolosi? Their comments, like, just it's almost like role reversal. They're talking so much smack. They're like, we should have murdered them last year. The quarterback's like, man, they're only in it for Instagram. That Instagram likes, they don't come to the field. Like, they are talking.
I mean,
Do you know what Dion said? Hold on, let me get my bank here.
on
Yeah,
player quality, they should not be running their mouth.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
Colorado State has looked like garbage. But, I mean, if they're watching the film, I get it. They're probably thinking these guys aren't going to fix all these issues in 1 week.
Dion looked at the news clip and said,
Oh, no. I read through that bull junk you wrote down. I read through that. I sifted through all that.
and that's why we're taking Colorado -7. Let's go. Yeah, come on.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. No, again, this is a this is less of an endorsement of my long-term belief in Colorado, and instead my thought that Colorado State is not quite at the level that the Rams need to be able to win this game. That what we thought was like the high-end talent or Colorado State ceiling coming into the year has not been shown so far, and that for a Buffs team that needs to bounce back in a big way, I think they're going to be able to get this. I think in our big game breakdown, the comment was made that, of the like defensive lines or the lines of scrimmage that Colorado will have played by the end of Saturday, is this number 3 out of 3? Like is obviously you're taking Nebraska number 1,
Yeah.
but would you take North Dakota State at the lines of scrimmage over Colorado State?
Probably, yeah.
Probably. So let's go Colorado. Bounce back win. Buffs -7.
Glad some people in the media still believe.
I'm going to play under 58.5.
I like that.
I don't think there's any way, if you're Colorado State, that you watch that game against Nebraska and think that you need to blitz. I would expect every team to follow the just drop 7, drop 8 playbook against Colorado until they show they can run the football, which they've also been running an incredibly slow pace. And since they demoted Sean Lewis, who then subsequently got a head coaching job, so maybe the market's telling you something about how wise that move was, the offense has been hot garbage. So I'm going to bet under.
Also, I will just say, if your offensive line's not doing a good job and you would like them to do a better job, throwing them under the bus repeatedly probably won't make them more excited to help you.
Good.
Very true.
Unlikely,
Right.
but it's good.
Coming up on the other side, opening up the Saturday slate with our full week 3 locks card and Moneyline sprinkles. Next.
A Quiet Place Day 1 is now streaming on Paramount Plus. It's thrilling, terrifying. It will make your heart pound out of your chest. A Quiet Place Day 1, now streaming.
Like how I've got my play sheet now for all the sound effects.
That's good.
Yeah, I had to get my bank 1, bank 2, bank 3, and all my color codes right.
9 years in, and he finally started keeping notes.
Look, a whole separate card for all my Dion ones. Let's go. All right.
Jimbo Fisher out here.
Shout out to Jimbo putting peanuts in Coca-Cola. All right, let's review what we've got on the board so far. Bud is taking UNLV-KANSAS under 60, LSU -7, Notre Dame-Purdue under 45.5, and Colorado State under 58.5. Someone in the tailgate mentioned it. It does look like the Undertaker is in the house. Chip so far has the
What? By the way, if you're watching this tomorrow, or if you're listening to this in the car, sorry, chat moved that Kansas line 2 points.
Hey, just to hope for the buyback, right? Yo, listen, buy the dip. Chip is on Arizona, Kansas State over 59. The South Carolina first half plus 4.5. Purdue plus 10.5 and Colorado -7. Danny's got UNLV plus 9.5. LSU -7. Notre Dame-Purdue under 45.5 and Wisconsin plus 16.5. Tom's got Arizona plus 7.5 and Alabama first half -7.5. All right, Tom, why don't you take us where you would like to go? Let's keep filling this thing out.
Let's see. First of all, the guy saying my Twitter locks went 0 for 4 last week. There were only 2 Twitter locks last week, so that's crazy.
I think he means the graphic.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go with my favorite play of the week. I'm going out to the Rose Bowl, where Sig's boys, who are on a heater, head out west to take on the Bruins, who spent last week recovering and relaxing from their trip to Hawaii that saw them beat the Warriors 16-13. Meanwhile, Indiana kind of had a week off too, except their week off involved scoring 77 points. I like the Hoosiers here pretty big. I think this game is a good example of when you hire like a first-year coach who has plenty of head coaching experience versus a first-year coach who has none prior to this season, because when you watched that UCLA game, there were a lot of procedural errors, like the kind of stuff you expect, learning on the job. Whereas Indiana is very clearly, even with a new coach and a lot of new players, they seem really cohesive right from the jump. Like they are very much in tune with one another. I think Indiana is actually a legit pretty good football team already in the context, not like competing for the Big Ten, but like they could flirt with the second tier of that league this year if they keep going the way that they're going. Give me the Hoosiers -3.
Mismatch on the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Hoosiers win this one by 7. And look, I love small sample size theater at this time of year. And Indiana hadn't played nobody, but man, they have been awesome against nobody. Okay. Like they have been incredibly efficient and successful, and things are clicking on every single cylinder that they have installed in that James Madison rebranded transfer portal built roster. They are on the same page. Now they will face more adversity, certainly going up against the type of athletes with the upgrade going up against the Bruins. But buddy, I'd run this thing out. I'd run this thing out past a couple key numbers. I think the Hoosiers win this by a touchdown or more.
I would really enjoy if some of these computer groups come and bet UCLA just on numbers so that we can get a 2.5 here close to game time. That would be awesome. So that's kind of my hope.
Come on, chat. Put a couple million down on UCLA real quick.
And then we'll come back with 3 million on the Bruins. This is how we do it. Come on. This is how we do it. All right. I like that a lot. Danny.
You guys see the shirt?
Yes.
Pitt is it. The backyard brawl is back. Pitt is a home dog this weekend to West Virginia. Pitt was trailing. Shout out EJ Borghetti for this gem that I saw on social media. 27-6 with 4 minutes to go in the third quarter, and they come roaring back for the win. That is their largest comeback since 1971, where they trailed Navy 35-6, and they came back. I think that was a monster win for them. Desperately needed it. We talked about Eli Holstein, the quarterback from Bama, transferring in, new system. Still think it's kind of ironing things out. I think that was one of those massive confidence boosters. Not sold on West Virginia yet this year. We saw them get spanked by Penn State. I think Pitt gets it done. I'll take the 2 points as well.
I got to play on this game as well.
Ooh, what we got?
I'm taking the under 64.5. I just don't. I think, great comeback last week. I was on the under last week in the game against Cincinnati, won my lock fight with Daniel. I still think the total for Pitt's games are a little too high. So,
just in general.
Plus, you add in the rivalry aspect to it. I think we're a little high here.
I'm using all the discipline in the world, trying not to go overs because I did like some, but I'm not going to play them.
I'm just going to say, I don't think overs are the way to bet this year.
Right. I agree with you.
Not so far.
So far, unders have been better. Like, not like you're not getting rich in the blind, but but there's been some very, very inconsistent clock stuff in terms of tempo week to week. For instance, in week 1, in like a neutral game state, which I understand didn't last very long because they played Temple, Oklahoma was not going fast. And then week 2, I wonder if Venables got in there, and this is just pure speculation on my part. It's like, hey, you guys aren't geniuses. Your input of having more time to talk to the quarterback is not more valuable than the defense having time to line up. Go fast again. I think there are some examples of that across the country, and there's some situations we will be monitoring in week 3 because there are certain teams that I think play different tempo in non-conference because they play to get the check and just get the hell out of town. So you always kind of recalibrate what your tempo is going to be for conference games as opposed to non-con. But I do think there's been some experimentation with some schools out there. Be like, okay, like, are we a tempo team? Are we not? Because some of these traditional tempo teams, they've kind of fallen out of that like top 10 tempo into more like top 40, top 50 range. But they could bounce back immediately.
A lot of this right here, like tempo teams just doing a lot of just trying to figure it out. All right. Let's see. Bud, you wanna throw something on the board?
Yeah, let's see what we got here. All right, so gave that out. We still have something good here. I want to give numbers. That got hit. Okay, never mind on that. Let's bet a team that was really, really disappointing last week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Lubbock.
Okay, never mind.
And I'm gonna lay the 9.5 points with Texas Tech. I don't know, man. Like, North Texas had a lot of guys out when they played South Alabama. South Alabama had a lot of guys out when North Texas beat them. They didn't look very good last week against the FCS team. I'm not thinking that Texas Tech's a great team, but I do think there's a little bit of difference in conference quality, as we've seen with some of these American teams when they step out. It's not great. So, I mean, Texas State crushed UTSA. We've seen SMU step into the ACC and play pretty poorly. So I'm going to go ahead and lay the 9.5 there with Texas Tech.
Milk carton Nick Hudson. That's the storyline there, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Texas Tech gets a 5-star wide receiver. He's been totally absent, and all the fans
banged up in spring. I thought.
I am not giving you the answers. That's just like me taking the temperature of like Texas Tech fans that are like, well, where is this super talented star recruit? Why is he not out there? That's sort of it seemed to be one of the prevailing storylines around that program. I don't have a good feel for Texas Tech though, but don't hate that conference play either.
Welcome to Jacob, man. He said he's listened to almost every episode of the pod since 2019. This is his first live show he's ever been able to watch. So, dude, appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry you lost your job or something. I don't know why you're suddenly home.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, listen, we got a lot of people that watch live lots of different ways. Sometimes you throw us on the TV. Sometimes you got us on your phone, computer, lots of different ways to be able to consume it live. I feel like I've got the game script because I think I already saw it. And especially when we've got a team that we know goes this slow, I'm kind of going back to the well. It might become a system play. Give me Georgia, Kentucky first half under. Kentucky going slow.
You don't happen to have a number, do you?
23.5.
They got to get first downs to go slow.
I know. But
there's plenty of 24s out there.
Obviously,
they're a good number.
Yeah, obviously would love 24.
So
Georgia kind of, just sort of goes through, throws those punches, and then after halftime, go out there and lay the hammer. And with Kentucky's pace, I'm just wondering how many possessions there are going to be in this game. And if Georgia wants to go through that, Georgia plan of trying to get the run game going early, Are they going to be 100% on scoring touchdowns on their first half possessions? Because they have to be pretty close to scoring on every possession if they're going to hit this on their own. And the way that this, I think, could go over would likely be Georgia hitting it on their own. So I kind of like that combination of Georgia's style, Kentucky's pace, similar to week one. Let's go Georgia first half under 23.5. They lead like 21-0, and it already feels like a blowout at halftime.
Semi-lock agreement. I'm on the full game under 45.5 because like Kentucky's moving slow, but you know who else is moving really slow this year?
Georgia.
So I don't know how many points. If like Kentucky couldn't score against South Carolina, I don't know how many points I would expect them to score in this game. And I just think Georgia's kind of content in the second. Like I understand your concern about Georgia scoring too many points, but I also think Georgia might just be content to get out of there.
If you care about this kind of stuff, and I don't know how much you should, but the last couple trips to Lexington, and granted they were better Kentucky teams than this Kentucky team because they had an NFL quarterback. Even if you don't think Levis is great, like he's clearly way better than what they have in Vandegrift. 16-6 Georgia, 14-3 Georgia, 34-17 Georgia. So I don't know. Like, does Stoops care about, or does Kirby care about running this number up? I kind of doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are certain coaches I think he might if you look into his track record, but I don't think this is one of them.
You know, but just for future reference, anytime you say the words Will Levis, you have to do this.
Wait, why?
Because you just threw a really stupid pick six and you can't believe what you just did.
Oh, yes. Well, our Bears did come back without scoring offensive touchdown. That's got to be the first time in NFL history that we've had a 3-score comeback with no offensive touchdowns, right?
I don't even think it's the first time in Bears history, honestly.
You guys did have Lovie Smith for a coach.
Yeah, I think we got to a Super Bowl doing that. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, so good. All right, coming up on the other side, we continue with our full breakdown of Saturday's slate, all that, and Moneyline sprinkles. Next. All right. How's everybody doing on time? We good? Clear? Mostly?
I got about 25 minutes.
Does anybody need to let it spray right now?
Do you actually have a hard out on Locks Day?
No.
Okay.
Well, I do actually, but it's not 25 minutes. It is an hour.
Okay. Well, get comfy, y'all.
We're running long. All
right. Anybody got any Oregon State?
Yeah, I'm gonna lay it with Oregon. I just think they're going to get right, and granted, Oregon State probably cares about this game more. I think you have to factor that into the handicap a little bit, but it's not like Oregon has been rolling and can just take this game lightly. You know, Oregon State's coming off a nice shutout win on the road in San Diego, and I do think Oregon is better. Yeah, I go ahead and lay it with the Ducks.
I even made my quarterback wristband.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Yeah. The zipper gets unstuck this week. Yeah. I think it gets ironed out. We discussed it lots of different places. I think they'll settle in. They'll settle down. Maybe not fighting potatoes and getting out of town might be good to just sort of shake everybody. And it might be a little bit of a slow start. Oregon State might have some pop out the gate, but man, I just don't know that Oregon State right now is going to be able to contain Oregon's offense. I think they get this thing rolling.
I'll jump on that.
Go.
Oh, the first. Oh,
it's been a minute.
Let's do it.
Hold on. We might have a guest picker real quick. She said she has a lock. She requested it.
What we got?
Kenzie! Let's go!
What you got?
I have another SEC over ACC pick for us today. I like Missouri to cover against Boston College. for a couple of reasons outside of being the SEC. Tons of returning production, okay? Great quarterback, great wide receiver. We'd like to see returning production. Beating FSU, not that big of a deal anymore, okay? I mean,
get him. Hey,
I mean, Georgia Tech lost to Syracuse, okay? Let's think about that.
Hey, Syracuse,
that mouth.
You be careful talking about Lexus McCord like that, okay? We've upgraded from Honda McCord to Lexus McCord, and he got 735 yards, 8 touchdowns on the season. That's some of the best quarterbacking in the country right now. Syracuse is good. Cuse is good. What do you think about that total on BC Mizzou?
What is it again?
Like 50, what, 58? Let's see.
I think you just go Mizzou team total.
Mizzou
We have them by
yeah.
30.
It's 54 right now.
54.
You know what she's trying to do? I mean, we saw it happen in the presidential. She's trying to bait me into taking the other side. I am actually on the same page as her. I am not touching this with anything. You're not doing it.
You guys, you call it SEC bias, but when 6 of the 7 top 25 teams are SEC, it might just be facts.
Wrong,
Right,
hey, wrong point. Wrong, hey,
Now,
hey, wrong point. Get out of here, kids.
Come on. I'm also locking up Missouri minus. Ken's just showed up and stealing my lock. Yeah, Missouri minus 16. I don't know if I have to go in much more detail than that. I don't think Boston College is very good just because it beat Florida State. And I think it's ranked because it beat Florida State, but all right, cool.
It's not, let's see. Can you guys see this right? It's not a green light special like circled, but it is there. Give it to me. I'll hop on there too. Give me Mizzou. Lamb.
If it cashes, now Ken's has bought herself into having to give us a pick every week like the dentist.
Exactly.
All right. You crash the show once. Now you're stuck. Now you're just in the Cover 3 universe.
Exactly.
Yeah, Tom, I
just think Missouri is a far superior team to Boston College.
We broke this game down, right? I mean, I just think what Florida State was not able to do to Boston College, I think Brady Cook and Luther Burden and Theo Weiss will be. I think we did our top 25 picks, Chip. I just think they'll be able to cash in on some of those big plays that Florida State couldn't do. When we saw DJ miss a lot of open receivers, we saw a lot of drop balls. They're not going to do that, and I think they'll have a better plan for Thomas Castellanos.
Yeah, I don't even think Mizzou's taken the car out of the garage yet.
Yeah.
I've been making the joke all week because I like in the craziness of Saturday, but didn't they go real running clock in that game?
In Mizzou?
I don't think so.
In Mizzou Buffalo, was that not the game? Or 10-minute quarters?
Or both. There was one I think they did.
So
I think you're right.
There was a game on Saturday where it was one of the most plainly obvious paycheck game situations that we've seen, where it's like, hey coach, why don't we just go ahead? You can leave the check by will call, and we'll just go 10-minute running quarters and get on out of here now.
If you look at the snap counts, like Theo Weiss and Luther Burden are currently 4th and 6th on the team in snaps at wide receiver. They're barely playing.
I will say, like, Buffalo basically played their corners like 25 yards off in this game. Mm-hmm. And it was not, I'm not saying they weren't trying to win, but the if average corner depth is a stat, that they had like turn and throw a 10-yard hitch to Theo Weiss anytime they wanted it. It was, you know what happens when you do that? The clock runs and you get back on the bus, you get to the airport, and you fly home with the check to Chip's point.
Yeah. All right, bud, where do you want to go?
Chip, give me my theme music.
Oh, yeah. All right. So let's go to the wristband. Okay, bank 3. Blue.
It's time for sicko mode. Let's go. I'm a little bit lower on some of the teams in the bottom of the Sun Belt. If things go wrong, they could be like UMass UConn. That's kind of like sicko mode of a sicko mode.
All right. Let's go to a really sick game involving a team that we just discussed, actually.
Yes, the game of the week.
Yes. UMass at Buffalo. I think that Buffalo made a major coaching upgrade this offseason. And
that's also a stray at Alabama's defensive staff.
Yeah, I think you're seeing a little better buy-in from the players, just from some stuff I've been hearing. So I want to lay Buffalo, but I don't know. I do like, and this is pretty sick, the UMass team total under 20.5 in this game. Give me that Buffalo defense to go ahead and hold them something in the teens. We're right there. Mhm.
Oh my gosh, is that gross?
That is pretty sick.
Let's see. What's the where are we gonna get
I got one.
What's getting bumped off a streaming selection so that it's on the mothership. That's right. You don't even need a streaming selection because CBS Sports Network is where you can find that fantastic game and watch that lock just cash and win.
It'll be on all these quad boxes.
See, so that means we'll have Jordan Kent and Logan Ryan on the call to be able to talk your way through a win.
Love it.
All right, Danny, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. UAB is playing Arkansas. Arkansas, I think, is going to be pretty good this year. I know I'm not supposed to go against there's a quarterback fraternity in the NFL with Trent Dilfer, but Taylon Green looked awesome. A little bit worried about the collapse factor, but I also think there's a Bobby Petrino factor in case things do come off the rail. I think he would kind of like a shot at this job once again. So I trust the offense. I'll lay them. Is it over 24? Is it 24.5? Can I get a better number?
Yeah, there's plenty of 24.5 out there.
Oh, there's nothing. Okay.
I'll want a 24?
Yeah, but
Danny, I got nothing for you. I'm sorry.
All right. No, I'll lay it. I'll lay the 24.5.
Hold on. Which game was this? I'm sorry. I was answering
It's UAB-Arkansas.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, you know what? No.
No, there's
there is
24
at a really big book out there. So yes, you got 24.
I'm going to go a little sicko mode here. Texas had a pretty big win last week. I've noticed a trend in the first few weeks of the seasons of teams coming off of big wins and then getting off to sluggish starts the following week. Give me UTSA plus 7.5 first quarter.
Ooh,
that's awesome.
All right. So I've got to play on this game where we can both cash. I'm going Texas UTSA under 54.5.
Let the children sing.
Yeah. Thank you. Love that. Whoop.
Sluggish start. You just, at some point, Bud's been on this. You do have to kind of monitor the rest of the season. Like where you just start worrying about, all right, I got to get my backups in, get the starters out, and they're still in, start running the ball, working the clock, slower pace game. I think UTSA is going to struggle to score too.
Do we have better numbers than 54.5?
I wrote down 55, but I didn't see anything better than that.
Yeah, we have for under 56.5.
Yeah.
56.5. Chip line value.
I mean, we have seen, and they would never admit it, but they pulled the quarterback last year because he was getting whacked, and they have like a real conference to go win. I mean, this year they're not going to win the conference if you watch them play. Like they're awful, but they have been running tempo. I don't know if they will continue to would you run tempo in this game? Traylor to me has shown behavior before where he's just trying to not get his guys killed, not lose by 50 and get the hell out of Dodge. So a lot of this to me comes down on what tempo, and granted, Texas will dictate most of the tempo. But if UTSA is tempo for the first half, then Texas may get that extra position or a possession to shove it. So
Daniel put some in the chat. Arch might throw 4 touchdowns. Kind of makes me nervous. The Arch Manning factor, getting him reps, but also I kind of like the sluggish start out of the gate as well.
Hold on. I just want to point out, I'm going to change. I have found UTSA plus 8.5 in the first quarter. So
nice.
I'm going to take that.
Yeah. What was it? 52-0 against Colorado State. I mean, we're talking we did not look at Texas's defense as being this one of the best in the country. And certainly I'm not going to move them there because you played Colorado State and Michigan and held them to 12 combined points, but they do look good. And there's how many points will UTSA score part of this? So That was one thing that I was identifying as I was trying to break this thing down. So let's go.
Thank you, Blake, in the chat.
Look at that.
Helping me make every moment more by pointing out that UTSA's first quarter is plus 9.5 on FanDuel. And also thank you to the chat for betting up this total for us and moving it a couple points, because I've gained 2 points in the last hour on my first quarter play.
All right. I think I've got one left. I don't like it though.
I have 2 left.
All right, I've got 2 left. Okay. Northern Iowa plus 28.
Wait, who are they playing?
Nebraska. Sandwich spot between Colorado and Illinois. All the juice is flowing. And if you subscribe to certain sets of power ratings, Northern Iowa is a top 10 FCS team, and probably compared to FBS teams falls somewhere in that Air Force Hawaii kind of range. And if you subscribe to all of that being on a level playing field, this maybe should be like 21-24.
I will say, I don't want to rain on their parade because they're very happy, and they should be, considering the way things have gone in previous years. But when I watch Nebraska, I do see some flaws. So I don't hate it. And I also agree with you, coming off that win last week with Big Ten coming up in a couple weeks, there's a chance we could see some backup action in this game in the second half.
It's a big number to cover against a quality football team and program. So let's go.
It's a big number to cover.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you start with a 28-point lead. Nebraska can't
lose.
I mean, Nebraska hasn't.
Who's going to blow a 28-point lead? Nobody.
Dylan Raiola has not had to come back from a 28-point deficit yet.
Also true.
And he does throw those video game touchdowns where he somehow gets the ball through the linebacker's chest into his receiver's hands.
All right, so all right, I think I'm done. I've got Apple Cup thoughts.
I've still got 2 more.
I got a little more.
All right, let's go.
All right. Let's go to Starkville, where we just saw Mississippi State get bullied on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And their run game is kind of quarterback scramble dependent right now. And Toledo has a pretty decent defensive line and not much else. So go ahead and give me the under 59 in Toledo, Mississippi State. It's a heavy pace game.
Time for sicko mode.
Yeah. Also, if you're Toledo and your quarterback just played that poorly, you got to think we're going to try to establish the run a little bit.
Also, I'm looking at FanDuel Sportsbook where you can make every moment more. I've got a 32.5 for Northern Iowa, so I'll take those extra.
Did they just post that? Because it wasn't showing up on there earlier.
That will work.
Now I hate it. I liked it at 28, 32.5. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already eating the chip line value over here in the in the home office, but it's all right.
All right. I'm going to go with one of the big talking points of the week. We've been talking a lot about Hugh Freeze's package and how big or small it is.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of heat on Auburn because the offense was terrible last week against Cal. Like 4 interceptions, only scored 14 points. So, man, did they get the medicine they need on the schedule this week. New Mexico's coming into town. I love Broncos big bad boys. I think Broncos big bad boys are more dangerous than we thought before the season, but that danger is on offense. The danger to New Mexico is its defense, because if you look at no matter what metric you prefer, New Mexico is near the bottom of it on defense. So I'm thinking Auburn is going to take this moment to get right. Auburn first half team total over 23.5.
Ooh,
Man.
let's go.
I like that too. That's pretty smart.
All right. What else?
I think
I've got an Apple Cup play.
Do you? What we
I was
got?
going to keep it holstered, but I learned my lesson, not putting Northern Illinois on the board last week. So I'm not going to let this go. I've been seeing too much. I've been talking too much about Mateer and this Cougs offense. Washington State team total over 24.5. I think
sense.
they'll score.
Hey, Chip, I need a routine cleaning. From the dentist, Wake scored 45 and 30 points in the first 2 games, although it was against North Carolina A&T and UVA. And while I don't necessarily have a ton of respect for that, I have to think their offense will be a step up from what Ole Miss has seen so far this year. Yeah, for sure. Kiffin spent his press conference this week trying to build a chip on their shoulders and act like Ole Miss is being disrespected by fans and everyone else. So I still expect a pretty good effort from the Rebs offense despite a potential sleepy spot on the schedule here at Wake. I'm narrowing in on the team total here because while I lean over for the game, I don't really know if I can trust Wake to score. So I'm going to go with Ole Miss team total over 43.5. I think they easily get there if Wake lays an egg on offense, and if Wake scores points and covers, then Ole Miss will likely get there too, trying to outscore Wake. This is only 13 more points than UVA scored on them. So give me the Ole Miss team total over 43.5. Tooth emoji, lock emoji.
Should we do like a competition between the dentist and Mackenzie to see who gets to keep making picks?
Yes. I like that idea. Although
Danny just wants to have. Danny's like, I can't battle McKenzie anymore. Please have somebody else.
You guys gonna have like a pick off on air?
Yeah, it's nothing against the dentist, but I do like the Mackenzie just makes fun of Danny all the time.
It's not right. We were both bad last week in our picks, by the way. I have one more.
All right.
Anybody else have?
I have one more. Go for it.
I mean, this is the last time I'm gonna do it on the year.
Knowles.
This is a principal play off a bye. You got to get right. It's Memphis. Bud doesn't like it.
No,
I don't care.
know that I hate it.
I'll lay the 6.5. This is just I got to do it. I got to back my guys, so I'll lay them while it's under a touchdown.
Got that.
That's all I got to say.
Shirt. Got that Memphis shirt on order. My final play of the week before we get to sprinkles. Listen, I lost with him last week, and I'm okay with it because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I thought I was on the right side, just had the wrong result. And I still like him this week. And I've also gotten, like, this line has moved since it opened. I've got an additional field goal and a half from where it started. Give me Nevada plus 17.5 at Minnesota. I just think the Wolfpack, 2 words. I mean, they've beaten themselves a little bit with penalties, but down to down, I think they're pretty good on offense and defense compared to what the market suggests. And Minnesota, to me, I don't know, nothing spectacular. So Nevada plus 17.5.
I've been waiting all week to see if this would get here, and it finally arrived. So I will be taking it.
Oh,
give me Air Force plus 17 at Baylor. I don't know who bet this up literally during the show, but I'll take the other side there. Give me the Falcons. Bader's offense looks dreadful.
Fading. I'm about to say fading the Bears might become a pastime.
Yeah,
I don't hate that. All right, ready for a review?
Yep.
All right, let's throw it on the screen. See what we got on the board. Bud is on Oregon minus 16. UNLV-KANSAS under 60. LSU minus 7, Notre Dame-Purdue under 45.5, Colorado State under 58.5, Texas Tech minus 9.5, UMass team total under 20.5, Mississippi State-Toledo under 59, and Air Force plus 17. I am on Oregon minus 16, Arizona-Kansas State over 59, South Carolina first half plus 4.5, Indiana minus 3, Colorado minus 7, Purdue plus 10.5, Georgia, Kentucky first half under 24, Texas-UTSA under 56.5, Northern Iowa plus 32.5, and Washington State team total over 24.5. Danny's got Oregon minus 16, UNLV plus 9.5, LSU minus 7, Notre Dame-Purdue under 45.5, Wisconsin plus 16.5, Pitt plus 2, Missouri minus 16, Texas, UTSA under 56.5, Arkansas minus 24, Florida State minus 6.5, and Tom's got UTSA first quarter plus 9.5, Arizona plus 7.5, Alabama first half minus 7.5, Indiana -3, Pitt, West Virginia under 64.5, Georgia, Kentucky under 45.5, Missouri -16, the Auburn first half team total over 23.5, Nevada plus 17.5. We've got UNITY on the Ducks -16. Lock agreements on LSU -7. That's Bud Danny. Lock agreement on Notre Dame-Purdue under 45.5. That's also Bud Danny. We got lock agreement on Indiana -3. That is Chip Tom. Lock agreement on Missouri -16. That is Danny Tom. And then lock agreement on Texas-UTSA under 56.5. That is Chip Danny.
Not a single fight.
Not a single fight.
The week we get our first unity, there are no fights. Isn't that just beautiful? Don't you just love to see it? Isn't that what America really needs right now?
It is. You know what else they need? This Moneyline Sprinkle segment is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. How many get? I even was working on this.
Chip needs to get back in the film room.
So last week we had Virginia cashed, Army cashed, Syracuse cashed, Illinois cashed, Michigan State cashed. That means that Chip right now 3-4 overall, up 2.2 units. I am in the lead. Tom in second place, 3-4, up 125. Danny 1-5, down 3.75 units. Bud 0-4, down 4 units. I'll get things started. Panthers, Pitt is it. I'll go ahead and take Pitt at best price we got. And then, oh, buddy. So here's the thing. You don't want to throw a lockdown when Jake Garcia is involved, especially with an offense that has been turning the ball over profusely. But ECU's humming a little bit, and they're going to be at home with App State coming to town after App State just got the work handed to them by the Clemson Tigers. I worry about the emotional. I worry about the mental. And I worry about what that atmosphere is going to be like in Greenville. So give me ECU as my money line sprinkle along with the Panthers.
I got you plus 110 on Pitt and plus 120 on ECU.
Sweet. All right, Tom, what you got?
I'm going to go to the Apple Cup, which I don't need the points. Just give me Wazoo on the field. Plus 170. Now I head to West Lafayette. I don't want the points. Give me Purdue plus 310 on the field. And now I return to my Who's who came through for me last week and are again being disrespected now at home in an old ACC rivalry game. Maryland can't beat Michigan State at home. I think they're going to beat the whoopsie daisy king on the road. Hell no. Give me Virginia plus 130.
Two things. One, for people who don't think Baylor 17 exists, if you can zoom in on that, that's plus 17 at some major spots that will take 10,000 a pop every 60 seconds. So orient your odds screen a little better if you can't find that place. Number two, I will take Duke plus 610 at a place everybody can find, our partner FanDuel, where make every moment more, to go into Duke. I didn't see a lot from that offense that makes me think they're functional, and that seems like a very high variance team right now. UConn's getting the quarterback back. It wouldn't shock me if they pulled something off.
You're taking UConn plus 16.
Yeah, UConn plus 610.
Wow. Jim Mora's gonna do some damage.
Is that it for you, Bud?
Yeah, that's it. Just one.
I got 2 lock agreements with Chip. Give me Pitt. I also had East Carolina written down. Our boy Jake Garcia has 7 picks. Just stop throwing them and you'll be fine. I also, Gator Danny's back. Give me the Gators at home. Give them to me. I don't know if it's more about Texas A&M, the worries about them. Who's playing quarterback? I do have to think Billy Napier will know and trust who gives them the best chance to win. I think this game's going to be gross. But you talk about backs against the wall. I just don't know if that Gator team, I don't think they've hung up, thrown in the towel yet, but I'm going to say they get their best effort. So give me Florida. And then lastly,
relentlessly.
So last year they took him to the brink. They said they should have murdered him.
Oh,
Give me Colorado State at home to win the game outright. Maybe they see something on tape. Maybe they're doing their best Dan Lanning impression because they know something we don't. That offensive line is not very good. I'll take them. I like BFN too. I kind of like him. That defense is not very good.
so that is Bud on UConn plus 610 at Duke. I've got Pitt plus 110 against West Virginia, ECU plus 120 against App State. We've got Danny getting in on Pitt and ECU plus Florida plus 145 hosting Texas A&M and Colorado State plus 225 hosting Colorado. Tom's on Washington State plus 170, Purdue plus 310, and Virginia plus 130. And that Moneyline Sprinkles segment was brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Woo! All right, good luck, show boys. That's about all the damage that we can do right there. I'm glad we got something in on Florida, Texas A&M. As we said, just a game of huge significance that it's just like, who knows? There you go. Maybe fading A&M is going to be the play.
I wanted to take Florida, but I was reading Jacob Redner on Swamp 24/7, who does an awesome job. He used to work for our Arizona State site, which we got a good network, and they seem to be real worried about Trey Wilson. So,
do they think who do they think starting at QB for Florida?
Mertz,
best chance to win. They'll go with that one.
I think both will play.
Yeah, I mean he's already said that. All right, I got to roll.
All right,
Yep.
and
Everyone's
you.
Yeah, we'll be back Saturday night, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, somewhere around there. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fernelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.